The family of an 8-year-old boy killed in this week's shooting in Minneapolis is speaking out. And 2 firefighters fighting a blaze in Washington state have been arrested by Border Patrol agents. Good morning. I'm Windsor Johnston from NPR News. And here are today's top stories. The family of an 8-year-old boy killed in this week's shooting at a Catholic church and school in Minneapolis is speaking out. NPR's Jason DeRose reports their loss is part of a tragedy that left 2 children dead, 18 others injured, and a community in mourning.
Jesse Merkel is the father of Fletcher Merkel, who was gunned down Wednesday morning during the first Mass of the school year at Annunciation Catholic Church and School. He says he wants his son to be remembered for the boy he was and not for the way he died.
Fletcher loved his family, friends, fishing, cooking, and any sport that he was allowed to play.
And Merkel says not only was Fletcher deprived of his life, but the shooter deprived the whole school, the whole community, the whole world of the person Fletcher could have become. In addition to Fletcher Merkel, 10-year-old Harper Lillian Moisky was also killed during the shooting. She was just entering 5th grade. Jason DeRose, NPR News, Minneapolis.
Vice President J.D. Vance is defending the administration's federal crackdown on crime in U.S. cities. Speaking in La Crosse, Wisconsin on Thursday, Vance said President Trump wants cities to invite the government in to help.
What the president has said is that, very simply, we want governors and mayors to ask for the help. The President of the United States is not going out there forcing this on anybody, though we do think that we have the legal right to clean up America's streets if we want to. But what the president has said is very simply is, why don't you invite us in?
Vance says that effort could target cities like Chicago and Milwaukee. He also praised the administration's weeks-long federal takeover of Washington, D.C.'s police department and other institutions, including Union Station. 2 firefighters have been arrested by Border Patrol this year while working to contain one of Washington state's largest blazes. Gustavo Sagrero from member station KUOW has more.
David Buenos Diaz is a crew boss leading one of a few freelancer teams combating the Bear Gulch fire. Diaz was there when he saw Border Patrol arresting the 2 firefighters. The teams he works with are composed of visa workers from Mexico, U.S. citizens, and members of the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation.
Everybody works, no matter what intensity you are. We're all there for the same thing. We're all there to help the communities out, help the forest, and, just protect and serve.
The morning of the arrest, Diaz says the lead fire management team sent the men out to cut wood. That's when Border Patrol came to check in on the workers and arrested the 2 men. For NPR, I'm Gustavo Sagrero in Seattle.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention had 3 top leaders resign in protest this week after the newly sworn-in director was forced out. NPR's Selena Simmons-Duffin reports one of those leaders has concerns about Jim O'Neill, the incoming acting director.
Dr. Deb Howry was CDC's chief medical officer. She told NPR it became clear that Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is letting anti-science activists run the show. So on Wednesday, she and 2 of CDC's center directors decided to resign en masse.
We care about the agency and the people, and this is the way we could make that strong statement.
Howry says she's concerned about the fact that Kennedy's choice for acting CDC director, Jim O'Neill, is not a physician or scientist.
You do need to at least have a knowledge of, how you'd handle an outbreak or an emerging pathogen.
The next CDC director will have to go through the Senate confirmation process, which often takes months. Selena Simmons-Duffin, NPR News, Washington.
A federal judge is ordering a new trial for 3 former police officers in Memphis, Tennessee, convicted of crimes in the beating death of motorist Tyree Nichols. Christopher Blank with member station WKNO reports that newly unsealed documents reveal an appearance of judicial bias.
The motion for a new trial revealed why federal judge Mark Norris recused himself from the case just days before sentencing in June. After one of his law clerks was shot during a robbery, shortly after the verdict, Norris suspected a defendant had been involved. He told a federal investigator that the Memphis Police Department was, quote, infiltrated to the top with gang members. Norris's replacement, U.S. District Judge Cheryl Lipman, said the risk of bias was too high and granted a new trial. The 3 former officers had been found found guilty of some, but not all federal charges related to beating Tyree Nichols after a 2023 traffic stop. He later died from his injuries. For NPR News, I'm Christopher Blank in Memphis.
Tariffs on small packages from around the world take effect today under a new executive order from President Trump. Until now, shipments valued under $800 could enter the U.S. duty-free. That changed earlier this year for packages from China and Hong Kong, and now the same rules apply everywhere else. Packages will now face tariffs and inspection. The White House says the move closes a loophole that allowed foreign shippers dodge tariffs and slip counterfeit goods and drugs into the country. The Israeli military is pushing deeper into Gaza City as part of a plan to occupy the entire territory and push the population south. NPR's Aya Batrawi reports the military says it's ending a partial pause on bombing in the city.
Israel's military has declared Gaza City a dangerous combat zone and says a unilateral daytime pause on airstrikes announced weeks ago under international pressure is officially being lifted and that the city's total evacuation is inevitable. Palestinians say that pause was never truly in effect in the city. Gaza City is home to just under 1 million Palestinians, many of them surviving in makeshift tents. Its population, which is living through what UN-backed experts on hunger say is a famine, are being ordered by Israel's military to move to areas of southern Gaza. But those areas are also being bombed. Local health officials say a family comprised of a mother, father, and 2 young boys were killed in an Israeli airstrike in southern Gaza this week after they'd heeded orders and fled Gaza City. Aya Batrawi, NPR News, Dubai.
Today marks 20 years since Hurricane Katrina made landfall in New Orleans. The city is holding events to honor those who lost their lives and those who survived. Actor and New Orleans native Wendell Pierce, who's been active in rebuilding, will take part.
I had an opportunity with my platform to give voice to the voiceless, to make sure that we exercised our right of self-determination.
In the lower Ninth Ward, where the levees broke, a brass band will lead a second-line parade, a tradition of mourning and resilience. I'm Windsor Johnston, NPR News in Washington.